Hello and welcome to the June 2023 meeting of Maine Accelerates Growth. Maine Accelerates Growth is a statewide network of organizations and individuals that support entrepreneurs and innovators to scale in Maine and beyond. We believe that a vibrant, inclusive, innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem will result in a more abundant, equitable, and sustainable economy and make Maine a great place to live, work, and play. We work together to share expertise, seek best practices, and to address system gaps. We work to promote the successes of Maine startups and entrepreneurial support organizations and collaborate to attract talent and inspire innovation. Our values are to be inclusive, action-oriented, and metric-focused. We think long-term and system-wide and seek ways to be more collaborative. Our monthly meetings highlight the activities of Maine Technology Institute, the Maine Department of Economic and Community Development, organizations that support startups and startups in Maine. MxG is a project of MTI, and I'm Liz Trice, your host, the coordinator of MxG for the Maine Technology Institute. So welcome. I'm glad to have you all here today. It's lovely to see your faces and such diversity, and so glad that many of you came early to do short breakout rooms, and you'll have the option to do that again at the end. So for starters today, I'd like to have introductions by anyone who is new today. Maybe we'll start with Caitlin and then raise your hand if you're new or new-ish to MxG, and we'd just love to hear who you are, who you work for, or what you're working on and what you're excited about this week. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Sure. So my name is Caitlin Willette. I work for Gorham Savings Bank here in Portland. I'm in the marketing department, and I support and help coordinate our Launchpad small business program. So if you aren't familiar, it is a $50,000 grant pitch competition. Typically we hold the event in June, so it would normally be this time of year. This year we've shifted it to fall. So it will be October 24th, and we are just gearing up to open our application shortly this summer. And just always looking to, stay connected to the entrepreneurial community, and happy to be here.
Great. Thank you so much, Caitlin. And just so all of you know, there are live notes that we keep during this meeting, and you're welcome to go in and put your organization next to your name. And to put any announcements for anything you're working on at the end of the document. And that's shared with our greater mailing list, which is over 230 people. Go ahead, Miles.
Hey folks, I am Miles Smith. I am the director of the Maine Broadband Coalition. We're a nonprofit that is trying to get world-class internet service to the whole state. Maine lags behind a lot of other states in internet service. By some metrics, we're in about 40th place or so, because we're so rural, because we're so mountainous, so many trees, et cetera, et cetera. So what I'm here to look for is businesses that are struggling because their internet service doesn't meet their business needs, or businesses that maybe are working outside of the typical metro areas of the state, but succeeding because they do have that great internet service. So we can tell that story about why it's so important in Augusta and to other places that are looking to invest. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. That work is so important. Thank you. Tom, can I put you on the spot?
Sure.
Introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tom Ruff, and I am starting Orange Bike Brewing Company. We will be Portland, Maine's first dedicated gluten-free brewery. So I recently have had a career life shift. We moved to Maine full-time 6 years ago to raise our daughter from New York City and Los Angeles. We love Maine, and we're committed to spending the rest of our future here in Maine. And I started a medical company 32 years ago out in Los Angeles that I ran, and recently sold my medical company at age 56. Gluten and my body no longer get along. I used to be a huge craft beer lover, and the lack of high quality craft gluten-free beer offerings on the East Coast were very few and far between, but out West there's a mass abundance. So we've recruited Alan Pugsley as our master brewer, and we're building out Orange Bike Brewing. We've been working on this for 2 years, and we launch in 2.5 months, hopefully. 31 Diamond Street, right next to Coffee by Design. But we're also a purpose-driven brewery. We're going after B Corp certification. We're working with 5 universities right now, getting the college students involved. And we're also addressing the toxic and culture within the craft beer industry. So we have several things that we're doing to make the craft beer industry more inclusive and diverse, and to lead by example with some of our initiatives that we're working on. So thank you for having me.
Great. Thank you so much for coming, Tom. And I noticed Matthew put in the chat an announcement. Anyone's welcome to put any announcements in the chat and or in the live docs. And if you put it in the chat, we'll make sure it gets in the live doc for you. Obina, would you like to introduce yourself? I think it's Obina. It says E for all E for all Inc. Yay, there you are. Welcome.
Jeremiah.
Oh, Jeremiah, sorry.
I just reached out to Obina. I thought he would be here. We're coordinating the link back to him, but E for all, we're here. We have an ED who you were supposed to meet today, but we are hopeful that we'll continue meeting along with you guys.
Okay, well, if he makes it in later, we're happy to have him introduce himself later.
Okay.
Awesome, thank you. Great. So on to our first speaker today. Let me just see who that extra person who just walked in is. Okay, so our first speaker today, we always have Brian Whitney or someone from Maine Technology Institute. Maine Technology Institute is the founder and sponsor of Maine Accelerates Growth. Brian, what do you have for us today?
Thanks, Liz. Good to see everybody. I just wanted to note, got several teammates on the Zoom call with me here today. Emily Braley, who's the coordinator of our Maine Entrepreneurial Resource Corps, is on the call. Joe Miliaccio, Director of Portfolio Advancement. Tom Kittredge, who's our Senior Investment Officer, and Abby Osei, who's an Investment Officer at MTI. So those 4 are also on the call. Just want to acknowledge that. Wanted to give the folks, you may have heard this through the grapevine, but wanted to give you a little update on MTI's technical assistance program. So our technical assistance program provides advice and support to eligible companies seeking a share of the $4 billion that the federal government makes available in R&D grants every year through 11 federal agencies. And Karen West has led that program for us ever since MTI was created. She actually predates MTI. She worked for the MTI's predecessor organization before she came on to MTI, and she's really one of the foremost authorities on the federal SBIR, STTR programs. We learned some unsettling news about Karen back in April. She had a unanticipated and serious personal health issue that was back in April, and she's been recovering from that ever since. She's been unavailable to assist us since the injury. So we've actually been leaning on Suzanne Hamlin, who I know many of you know through MxG, as well as we recently brought on Cindy Talbot, who I also see on this call to help fill some of that void that's been left since Karen experienced her injury. So just wanted to give you an update on that to let you know that if you're in the queue with us on that stuff or seeking TAP assistance in the future, that there may be some unanticipated, unexpected delays associated with that. So sorry. Happy to take questions on that if you have any, but also wanted to just move into the MxG management piece. I know that I think Tom shared last month with you that I had intended to change the MxG management model from its current model back to our former model. I know many of you remember Martha Bentley, who was an MTI contractor and then staffer at MTI, and she managed the MxG program for us in the early years. And then, of course, we transitioned to Liz, an outside contractor, helping us with the management. And my intention is to bring that role back into MTI. And I know that information was shared with you last month, but since then, wanted to let you know that Tom Kittredge, who I know you all know, has graciously agreed to absorb the MxG meeting management role going forward. And Liz Trice has been very gracious in allowing Tom to shadow her for the next couple of months, with Tom stepping into that role in September. So want to again thank Liz for the incredible job she's done over the past several years, coordinating the partner management, the network connection weaving, the communications, the work plan, as well as all the cross-program collaboration. She's grown the membership here, and she's really raised the organization's role and relevance. And I just want to say how much I appreciate all of her good work, and also look forward to Tom stepping into that role going forward. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you all. So I'll be with you still in August for sure. And yeah, it's been a pleasure and an honor to work with all of you and to grow the group and to get to know all of you much better. So, and I look forward to our paths crossing in many, many other ways, because there's 30 people here right now. And we all know there's only 15 in Maine total. So I'll be seeing you everywhere else. Thank you, Brian. Okay, next we have Jake Daniele from DECD.
Thanks, Liz. Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to point out that Thrive Maine 2.0 is accepting applications right now through June 23rd. So if you haven't got your application in yet, you still have time, but be sure to check in with FAME quickly. We're still in full-on event mode, it feels like, throughout the state. So if you missed the SBA Awards, the SCORE Awards, the Maine Entrepreneurs Summit, they were all wonderful. Make sure that you check out those next time. One event that I wanted to point out specifically that MTI and DECD are sponsors of is the START Summit that's happening in Freeport on June 23rd. That's a Friday evening into June 24th, a Saturday. Tom Kittredge is actually going to be one of the judges. Again, these START Summits are just really interesting way to get into entrepreneurship. So if you could share it with your networks, that would be great. Free to attend, chance to win cash prizes. So it doesn't get any better than that.
Will we be able to see? Will I be able to see my town councilor there?
I will be there, helping out as I can. So just keep that in mind. And with that, I'll kick it back to you, Liz.
Yeah, thank you, Jake. And I just want to speak from personal experience. The START Summits are amazing experience for anyone from just a entrepreneur curious person, or somebody who knows a graphic designer or employee anywhere who's sort of curious about how ideas become businesses. And if you yourself haven't been to one, I highly recommend it. You just show up and you join a team and you work through the process from idea to business pitch. And it's really exciting and fast paced, and you get to work in a more like team-like way than, in less formal way than typically happens in our work lives. So I highly recommend it. Okay, let's see. So I think we're close enough to on schedule here. So I'm going to give yeah, let's just go ahead with our first presenter, Michael Wing from Accelera. Michael, are you ready? Yeah, okay, you're muted. So let's unmute you. And then the way this works is I'm going to set a timer on my phone for 4 minutes. And when you hear it, you have 60 seconds to wrap up, and then we go into Q&A for 5 minutes.
Okay, well, I'll
Okay.
try to do my best there, Liz, for you.
Sure.
Am
Okay,
I able
welcome.
to,
Thank you
am
for
I able to
joining us
share?
today. Yes, you should be able to share.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to let's see, get the slide going. Here we go. Okay. Okay. So as Liz mentioned, I'm with a startup company called Accelera, one of the co-founders. And we have been working with some technology and sciences that we've licensed out of Harvard University. Just to get things started real quick, I'll show you some of the results of the technology on some of the people that we've been working with. This is a 2-year-old boy with cerebral palsy that's never been able to open his hand independently before. He's got one of our prototypes on his wrist, and he's able to fully open his hand and reach out and grasp. This is the first time the child has been able to open his hand independently. So that's an exciting piece right there. We have another. This one right here is a 3-year-old boy. He's never walked independently before. And you can see on the left, he doesn't have any of our devices on the right, he does. And you can see that these are his very first independent steps in life. You know, he's always had to have someone hold his hand or hold on to something to move. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there so that we can see, you know, what this does for people. So what we're working at is something called proprioception. And this is proprioception is something that we all have. And if you're not familiar with that term, it's our body's ability to know where we are in space. So if you can close your eyes and reach out and touch your finger, that's a great example of proprioception, is because we know where our hand is, our finger is, and it governs everything that we do as far as movement goes. And our technology will apply to all of the blue spots that you see in the body, and actually a whole lot more. And what that does is it just clarifies signals for the body to understand where it is and communicate to the central nervous system that, you know, what movement needs to be required. So our mission here is there are literally millions of people in the world that have proprioceptive challenges. And our goal is to try to help as many people as possible, both children and adults. It's this as a science has been researched, it's been developed, and it's been published and peer reviewed. Here's just a sample of some of the universities and institutions that have worked with this technology: Harvard, Virginia Commonwealth, Boston University, University of North Carolina, Wright State University, Harvard Medical School, and there are more. So I'd like to introduce you to our product. It's called the SR100. It's a band that goes around the wrist or the ankle, arm, leg, and comes in a couple of different sizes. It's operated through an iOS app on a smartphone, and we can customize the stimulation settings on up to 4 devices for a person. And hopefully this helps them move a little bit better. You know, the studies that we've had and the clinical trials shows that this improves movement, accuracy, and speed. So it helps the body's natural signals by enhancing the proprioception. And that's a thing I want to stress. This is not an artificial signal that's going to the body. All this is a mechanism that clarifies the signal and allows the body to move naturally. So there are 3 major markets that we're going to be looking at: chronic movement conditions like cerebral palsy, Parkinson's neuropathy, spasticity, you know, a list like that, back injuries. The rehab injury market is another macro market, which is, you know, ankles, knees, shoulders, things of that nature. And then there's also a considerable amount of research on performance improvement for improving coordination or athletic performance. So there's quite a bit of work there for us. So as I said, we're going to focus on the chronic proprioceptive conditions first, and we're targeting physical therapists, occupational therapists, physical medicine, rehab physicians, athletic trainers in the chiropractic market. The model is that, we provide clinical kits to the practitioners. They work with their patients. When they see results, they refer them directly to us. We've got, I'm very proud of the team we've put together. We've got a really experienced team with years of experience in this field. And we have great partners, manufacturing partner and such. We have a strong advisory board right here of medical professionals that have long steeped history in this science, and they're helping us with the application side of things. And where we are right now, and I'll give a big shout out to MTI. Without MTI's help, we wouldn't be where we are today. So we've licensed the technology, we've developed our concepts, we've gone through the R&D, prototyping, we've done the testing, clinical studies, we have a final Gen 1 design, and we've entered the market late March and this year. So we're building inventory, we're out actively selling, and we're starting to see some sales start coming in. So it's kind of a heavy lift, a lot of missionary work right now, but the level of resistance from hospitals and clinics that the sales people are seeing is minimal. So we just got to get through their approval processes and things like that. So we're immediately going to start working on the second generation design. We've got lots of great ideas on how to make this more of a consumer friendly device. And we're out there working the market, trade shows, product launches and things of that nature. And we anticipate some very good growth in probably the next 5 years. So that's real quick. I'll try to keep that into the 4 minutes, Liz. But my name's Mike Wing. I'm the CEO of Accelera, and we're very excited about building a good Maine company and partnered with other great Maine companies to pull this all together. So we're really excited about where this is all going.
Great. Thank you,
Thanks.
Mike. I have one question, then I'll open it up to the group. What's been most helpful to you so far in the Maine ecosystem, and what kind of help do you need now?
Well, I mean, in 100% honesty, what's been helpful to us is MTI. MTI in the very beginning, they saw what we were trying to do. They helped us with some seed grants. We've been through a series, I think, of 4 seed grants, developing the prototypes and setting up some clinical studies. And without MTI's help, I don't know where we'd be. We've been bootstrapping through that whole thing. We got through a seed round, and now we're in the process of raising capital for a Series A so that we can build up the sales team. We've got 6 people that we know are experienced and they want to join us. We just need the capital and in the engineering project. But I would say that seed capital from MTI was crucial to getting this done and support. What do we need right now? We need, we're always interested in seeing if we can find organizations that want to do some studies with us. And of course, it's the raising the capital. We're right on, we're positioned right now, Liz, to just really, have a good solid launch here this year and start building out. But we're right now, we're going to have to anticipate improving our capacity for the next year, 2, 2.5, 3, which is we get probably an 18-month project on engineering and tooling to do that.
Great. Thank you so much. I think we have time for one question from the group. Anybody have a question for Mike? You can raise your hand, or if you can't figure out how to raise your hand, you can speak up.
Yeah.
I'll
Oh,
just
go ahead.
send kudos on the pitch, because I've heard in preliminary and innovation Zooms, and I think it went really. I like the story today. It's the best. Anyway, yeah, I see that work has been done on the pitch. The pitch is in good shape.
Thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, great.
Like,
Thank
it-
you.
it's interesting how much practice you have to go through to actually start getting pitches well organized.
Yeah, great. Ken, you have a question?
Yeah, just quickly, have you explored any non-disease related uses for this device? Such as addressing muscle fatigue in athletes?
Actually, Ken, Harvard did some studies on endurance. They did some studies with athletes. It wasn't a big study, but what they had is they put backpacks on athletes, put them on treadmills, and had them run with and without the science, and they found that they could improve the endurance pretty significantly. So, it sort of leads you to think that, it leads us to think that maybe there's a market with the Department of Defense or things like that as well.
Very
Good.
cool. Great. So, thank you for joining us today, Tom. If you're around at the end, we'll invite you into a breakout group and anybody can come and have more informal conversation with you. And please, anybody, if you have questions, reach out to Mike. Please put your contact information in the chat, and you can also go in and look and see the notes that I posted in the online document and make sure it represents you the way you want it represented. And then please also send me your slides and I'll send it out when I send out the notes early next week.
Okay, Liz.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. And if you think of anything else this group can help you with, please reach out for that too. So our next startup presenter is Jodi Breau of Dental Lace.
Thank you. I'm grateful for the opportunity today. Yes, I am the owner of Dental Lace Inc. I
Great.
created Dental Lace refillable floss, and I am on a mission to eliminate harmful plastic dental floss and other oral care products. We've expanded from our dental floss to toothbrushes and toothpaste tablets instead of a plastic tube of toothpaste. But the original story is that for years, I had the ugly plastic white, store brand dental floss. And one day I just looked at it and realized that it was all plastic. The floss was petroleum wax. It was plastic. And I just became disgusted, really, with the plastic that I was putting in my mouth. And so, I just realized that it was harming the environment, the wildlife, it was harming me, and I couldn't let it go. So for about 10 years, I ranted and raved to everyone I knew, and I searched for a better floss, and just, it wasn't out there. And one day I was a school librarian, and I said to a group of students and staff, I was doing my rant, look at all the plastic, and one of my students said to me, well, why don't you change it? When students speak, you kind of, step back. And so I did. I started with, the help of SCORE and my SCORE mentor, Alan Shaver. Alan and I have worked together now, I think it's going on close to 10 years. And he helped me build a company. I had no experience, right? I didn't know business plan. I didn't know finances. QuickBooks, what's QuickBooks, And so, yeah, with Alan's help and all the SCORE mentors, I think I've used all of them at one time or another. But they also pointed me to the Maine International Trade Center, because soon I was doing wholesale in international countries. They helped me find CEI, small business administration mentors. I've just had a lot of help with various business organizations in the state. I just want to step back. So I produced dental lace refillable floss. It is a United States Department of Agriculture bio-based preferred product. So we received that certification, and we received it because we are 100% zero waste. Dental lace, the floss itself is 100% compostable silk with a plant-based wax and mint essential oil. Very unique, very different from the conventional floss that's out there. Our packaging is made in Maine by Franklin Printing, and it is 100% recycled paperboard, but it's also processed in a way so that you can recycle it again. So, like I said, our products are zero waste. All our shipping materials are zero waste. Our labels are zero waste, everything. So as a product, we're producing zero waste products, but my company is also striving to be zero waste. So what we're trying to do is no waste going to landfills. So we recycle, we reuse, we refuse, we rot, anything that we can rot, compost, everything, so that the business itself is going to become a zero waste Maine business. Soon we are striving for, we're submitting our application for B Corp. That'll probably happen in the next couple of months. In 2017, I launched an e-commerce site for dental lace, and from a home office. And by 2020, we had grown to 40 countries, wholesale accounts in 40 countries with 7 international distributors, hundreds of independent co-ops and grocers in the US and Canada. And SCORE and the International Trade Center has been beside me the entire time. We grew from that spare bedroom. In 3 years, we purchased a facility. We hired 4.5 employees. And we added product. We expanded to toothbrushes, toothpaste tablets, travel bundles. We now have, I think we're up to 15 various listings that we offer on our website. And during the pandemic, we had companies that I was talking to that needed third-party logistics. They needed someone to help them with fulfillment, distribution, and affordable warehouse. So we added that to Dental Lace Incorporated, and that's all at our Pittsfield location. Right now, we are positioning ourselves for growth again. The pandemic set us back a little bit, wholesale. And so we are seeking a Thrive loan, investment for some revenue generating product. We hope to launch a bamboo replacement head for electric toothbrushes. And we, you may be familiar with the dental picks, the little picks that are all plastic. We have found a sustainable zero waste wheat floss pick that we hope to launch before the end of the year. So we're also launching new products. We hope to get more certification, B Corp. We are going to be applying for an American Dental Association approval certification. What else are we doing? I don't have it on my list, but yeah, we're in the position for growth right now, and we're looking for capital to help us do that. And we are ready to get started anytime. Thank you for the opportunity. If you would like to see more information about us, we have a website, www.dentallace.com, and you can contact me at contact@dentalace.com. Thank you again.
Great, thank you so much. We have time for probably one question for Jodi.
Jodi, just real quickly, what kind of support financially are you looking for? Are you looking for equity investors? Are you looking for debt, and roughly how much?
The debt that we have right now is the startup money, the bootstrapping that I invested, and we have $40,000 in debt that I invested from my personal, accounts. That's a really good question. We would definitely do equity, but we're small, so we don't have a lot to offer right now. I guess as far as finances, we're hoping for a Thrive loan. We're always, grants, anything that's out there. I was talking about with Emily on the Merck grant and excited about that. I think we have a possibility there. So yeah.
Thank you. Helpful.
Thanks.
Awesome. Any other question? Okay, great. Well, Jodi, I hope you'll stick around till the end so we can chat more informally. And please look at what we put into the online document and make any edits you want. Put your contact information into the chat, and also send me, well, you don't have slides, so if you want to send me any images, I'll put them into the notes that we send out to the group. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we wish you the best of luck and hope you join us again in the future to give us an update.
Yes, sure thing. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, our next presenter is Anna Child from the Immigrant Welcome Center. And this is your first time here, Anna, so thank you so much for joining us. We're happy to have you. And looking forward to hearing what you're doing. So I have a question. Were you guys able to hear the timer when it goes off at 4 minutes? Because my phone plays it for a second and then it disappears. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is I'll actually say something. I think everybody hears, but if they don't, I'll say something. So I'll just say, for 1 minute left when you get there. Okay. So welcome, Anna, and go ahead.
Thank you. My first MGMX, so it's nice to be here. I'm just going to give you a little bit of background about the Immigrant Welcome Center as a whole, and then I'll talk about the Business Hub, which relates to all the great stuff we're talking about here. So the Greater Portland Immigrant Welcome Center, we're right in downtown Portland, about half a block from Monument Square. We were founded in 2017 with the mission to empower immigrants through language acquisition, economic integration, and civic engagement. Right now we have a staff of about 15 and we're growing. So we have 4 different programs. The biggest one right now is our language lab. We're the only organization to offer this in the state. It's basically a computer lab where immigrants can come in for a 2-hour time slot to work on a self-paced English course. They can specialize in certain kind of vocabulary if they're interested in going into carpentry, say, or real estate. And it's really great for the life of an immigrant, which tends to be chaotic. In addition to the digital language lab, we also offer English classes with our community partners. Right now we're offering them at Avesta, FedCap, and others. And then we have a civic engagement program, which seeks to get out the vote for immigrants, as well as serves as kind of a catch-all for helping immigrants with many things they need. A lot right now that we're seeing is housing needs, as we are tending to get a lot of recently arrived asylum seekers who are coming in for the language lab. In addition to this, we have a food security and nutrition program where we hold cooking classes at our nonprofit and talk to folks about budgeting and nutrition. And then the last program is what I coordinate. It's the Business Hub. And historically, it's helped immigrants who want to start businesses or who need support with their existing business. During COVID, we helped connect business owners to low interest loans or micro grants. And a lot of these were folks who were not able to access the PPP loans for some pretty requirements that they just weren't able to meet. I joined in April, so I'm very new. I'm spending the first couple months doing a lot of outreach, talking to immigrant business owners themselves, folks who come in for the language lab, and then really reaching out to a lot of small business development organizations and other immigrant nonprofits to figure out how strategically the Business Hub can position itself to do the most and help with some of the biggest needs. Currently, I'm seeing clients who, because a lot of them have just recently arrived here, need help with workforce integration. So I do a lot of referrals to our partner organizations who can do a lot of support with that. And then I am seeing immigrants who want to start businesses. For instance, I spoke with 2 folks today, one who wanted to start a real estate company and another who wanted to start a cleaning service. So I certainly am relying on a lot of our great referral partners through CEI, through SCORE, and others, but I'm also trying to find out better pathways that can help this really specific population who tends to need a little bit more hands-on support, and to make sure that they also can access the great resources that our state of Maine has to offer. If you are interested at all in doing any sort of mentorship or volunteering, we specifically need help with general business development, but also business plans. I would love to connect with you at some point, and I'll put my contact details in the chat. But really, I love to listen to entrepreneurs, and thankful for being here. So appreciate you having me.
Great. Thank you so much. I found myself wanting to ask you, have you, in the time that you've been here, have you had anybody come in with ideas that seem like they could be scalable, or where that's their intention?
You know, I've only been here, 2 months. So it's most of the ideas that I've heard of, I guess, scalable in their own way. I haven't had any tech ideas come in yet. But they definitely need access to finance to be able to grow and to scale. And I think that's one of the hardest things for them, because a lot of these folks, even if they're starting a business, the most they've been here is probably 10 years. And so things like credit is something that they really need to work on, a solid business plan, having a knowledge of just starting a business in the US. And so I'm really trying to build pathways to be able to give them mentorship and support services that can really access those specific challenges.
Got it. Great. Thank you. Other questions for Anna?
Anna, have you worked or with the Indus Fund? Are you aware of the Indus Fund?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, thank you. So Seaport was one of our founding partners, and we do make a lot of referrals to apply to the Indus Fund. But there's some challenges there too, a little bit, in terms of again, the credit issue and some financial literacy issues. So I have some basically from a lot of supporting organizations, some ideas about perhaps how to work on those issues first. And I was able to connect with Jonathan from SCORE, as well as Emily from Merck. And I know they have a lot of great ideas as well, but any other loans like that, I'd love to hear about.
Yeah, is there anything else that the Immigrant Welcome Center or your program needs right now that we can be all keeping an eye out for?
I think thank you, Liz. That's a great question. 2 things. Digital literacy is a huge need. Prosperity Maine is another nonprofit in Portland that does some things with digital literacy, but the need is pretty great. So any ideas around folks who'd be willing to offer low-cost digital literacy workshops or even one-on-one consultations. And then also, I'm interested in this IDA option that I just recently heard about. Like apparently it's what it is you set up a bank account and then do sort of matching funds. So you and you teach people about saving. So it incentivizes saving because every time they make a deposit to save, a nonprofit will match that savings. And then after 2 years' time, they have access to those funds and they've just spent 2 years saving. So they're ready to continue doing it. I have read a little bit about this, but anyone who knows more about IDAs, I would love to connect with.
Awesome, great. I spent the morning at the aging in place, or not, it's age-friendly community summit, and it occurred to me that there might be some interesting connections around there around helping people with digital issues, because there's like this whole network of volunteer people who provide technical support to seniors. So maybe you guys could share volunteers for there.
That would be wonderful.
Miles says, for digital literacy, look into the National Digital Equity Center based in Maine and organizes free digital literacy courses. So that's great. Cool. Any last questions for Anna? All right, Anna, thank you so much. Please look at the notes and add anything you want, and send me anything you want out to the group by the end of tomorrow. And put your contact information into the chat so people can reach out to you if they have other ideas.
Will do. Thank you, Liz. Thank you all.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Please come again. Okay, great. So we're on to Rose Barboza of Black Owned Maine. Welcome, Rose. Good to have you here again.
Yes, hello, thank you.
I'll give you a word when we hit the 4 minutes, 1 minute to wrap up thing.
Okay, sounds good.
Hear the timer. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you. So hi, everybody. My name is Rose Barboza, and I'm the founder and executive director of Black Owned Maine. So we are about three years old. So we are a nonprofit in Maine that's really dedicated to sustaining and innovating an ecosystem in Maine, specifically for Black entrepreneurs. So we do this through various business development programs. They're all free, you know, and we offer marketing support, technical assistance, entrepreneurial training. We've provided small business grants in the past as well. And we're really filling a need that we're not seeing filled in other organizations, being that our programs are not only for the Black community, but also led by the Black community. We really believe that our community best understands how to teach and how to navigate, you know, the various systems that we are working within. So we really accomplished this task by partnering with the Black businesses that exist in Maine, you know, professionals outside of Maine as well. And then we also partner with subject matter experts, you know, from various organizations, financial development, you know, financial institutions, et cetera. So really our goal is really to work, like I said, specifically with entrepreneurs. So we really don't dabble, you know, in workforce development. We don't do kind of work outside of just the realm of the Black ecosystem. And sorry, I'm drawing a blank. I'm like, what else do I say here? I think that's really it. So I'll leave it at that. If you haven't checked this out yet, I'll drop our email, and I just dropped my website and email in the chat box here. We do also have a directory of over 450 businesses that we do work with and are listed. So if you're interested in supporting Black businesses, or, you know, looking to diversify your vendors, et cetera, we definitely welcome you to check that out and to reach out to us, you know, beyond that. So thank you.
Rose, thank you so much. I think everybody here would love to hear, how can they support Black owned businesses in Maine and your organization as well?
Absolutely. So the first thing you can do, you know, obviously, is to purchase, you know, from these businesses. So whether you're an individual, whether you're an organization itself that, you know, purchases from outside vendors. We also, you know, there's a big problem, I think, in lots of communities, but specifically in Maine, is that because Maine is not the most diverse place, a lot of the solutions that are provided are not provided with our organization or our community in mind. So what that means is Black folks are not able to lead and solve their own problems. We often are said, hey, you know what, this is the problem we see in your community, or you've told us this is the problem, and here's the solution. So it lacks, a cultural aspect of it, and it's often rooted, I'll say it, frankly, it's often rooted in lots of, white supremacy. So we're just saying, hey, in order to support our community, let's take a step back. Let's think about who is the one affected. Let's let them lead the way. Let's let them be the one to say, this is what I need. This is how you can help me, et cetera, et cetera. And then with that, we also, ask that if you see funding opportunities that are specifically to support these underserved communities, that you allow those organizations to be the ones to apply, to obtain those funds, and to make sure that we're again able to kind of lead our way out of this oppressive system that's been placed upon us. So I know that isn't very concrete, or maybe it is, for some folks. So I hope that's helpful. Happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that was perfect timing. So, yeah, questions for Rose. Katie.
Rose, Katie Shorey with the Startup Maine and live and work in Maine. Can you give an example just so we can kind of wrap our head around maybe like a recent client or somebody that you worked with, or like as a successful campaign, just so I can conceptualize what it would be like?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of our most recent clients was Food for All Services. So they are a African market. It's actually a nonprofit African market. I think one of the only in the state of Maine, or one of only in the country. And, they provide not only culturally relevant food within their market, but also supports, surrounding that. So we're helping them to kind of build out the foundation for their organization, and then move it up from there. So we're really working more with, mostly service-based, and obviously they're a product-based, but a lot of the businesses we work with really are service-based. Unfortunately, are not in tech, are not in like all of the, don't really qualify for all of this funding or supports that are being put out for sector-specific assistance.
Yeah, great. Is there, maybe you could give us one more example just so we can understand the breadth of what you're working on?
Sure, absolutely. Yes. So we also have worked with numerous, like cleaning companies, restaurants, things of that nature. We really believe that, we have to meet folks where they're at. So we can say, hey, there's all these other amazing ways you can make money and scale up and this and that. But if entrepreneurs are coming to us, like Anna said, and they're coming to us and they don't have this, maybe they don't have English language acquisition, or maybe their parents weren't an entrepreneur, this and that, we're like, okay, let's start here and take it up from there. Let's get the basics down, and take it up from there. So we do, we do consider everything to be, all businesses that we work with, to be confidential, unless that they've given us permission otherwise to name them. So happy to talk further about that, in the future, but yes.
Okay, great. Other questions for Rose? Rose, is there anything else you'd like to let us know, or anything else you'd like to ask of the group?
No. I mean, I've been coming to these meetings, I think now for a couple years on and off, I'm glad to see a few more diverse faces in the room, but I think we can do a lot better job at bringing more people to these meetings and really showing the breadth of who is working, within economic development, and not just making it, the 94% that we always like to talk about. So I'm glad to see, hopefully that's changing a bit.
Awesome, thank you. To that note, we have some extra time, and I would love to hear from Obina, the new executive director of E4All. Are you with us, and are you willing to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing?
Yes, sure.
Welcome.
Good, well, looks like good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be here today. My name is Obina Okani. I am the newly appointed Executive Director for Entrepreneurship for All, E4All, here in Maine. A little bit about myself. I moved to Maine about 2.5 years ago. Started with the entrepreneurship group over at the Root Institute as their community engagement manager, and then moved on to working in recruitment and engagement for their graduate programs. Shortly after that, I started working at the Nimble Group, which is also known as Strategic HR, who hosts the Maine HR convention every year, as well as Strategic HR at Mount Washington. So really happy to be here. I've heard about the MxG group since I was at the Root Institute. I think I may have joined maybe 1 or 2 meetings in the past, but really glad to be a part of this group, and looking forward to working with the ecosystem on a larger scale. A little bit about the work that I'll be doing with Eat for All. We will be hosting a number of pitch competitions, as well as standing up an accelerator for small businesses and entrepreneurs who want to gain a leg up in their initiatives, their ideas, and really fueling that passion for business.
Awesome. Thank you. Can you tell us about the timeline of how E4All is going to be getting into its programming and what the first program will look like?
Yes, for sure. So I actually just started about 15 days ago, so 2 weeks. So our first event is going to probably be sometime in late August. And then I foresee a pitch competition at the start or even mid-September. That way we can, introduce ourselves to the broader Maine community and let them know all of the initiatives that we have going on. Then we will be hosting another pitch competition towards the end of the year, say around December, first week, second week of December, which will kick us into winter of 2024, where applications for our accelerator will be up. The accelerator has yet to be announced in terms of what date, but applications will probably go out after that pitch competition in December, and we're looking to stand up the accelerator at the end of March, early April.
Great. And do you have a vision do you know what the criteria will be for who will be in that accelerator?
Right now, I'm still learning the process, but right now we are open to all entrepreneurs, those who either have an idea from ideation stage to those who have probably been working on their idea for some time and are looking to accelerate their business processes.
Okay, got it. Great. Any questions for Obina? Thank you for joining us today. Yeah. Or if Jeremiah, you want to add anything about the program?
No, I was happily listening to Obina describe both our timeline and our intentions, and you hit it out of the park. So I don't have any filler to add to that. I think outside of January, mid-January, having our deadline for our accelerator, all of those dates are what we internally know as how our truth.
Great, thank you. Joe.
Hey, congratulations, Jeremiah. Last time we saw you, this was your big to-do task. So congratulations. Been at getting on board and not having to go too far across town. The question we brought up, and it's not to solve here, but I'd encourage you to keep using this group when you come back, because one of the things I mentioned to Jeremiah before, and we all struggle with for decades really, and still, is the underserved entrepreneurial population in the rural and rim counties of Maine. So not sure what the solution is, but Jeremiah did say there'll be some online opportunity, and we've got the digital connectivity people here. So look forward.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna lean into Miles a bunch.
Yeah, that's awesome. So congratulations, Abina. I'm Joe Miliaccio, the Director of Portfolio Advancement at MTI, one of the startup team members here, and look forward to seeing you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so since we have a little bit of time left, so we officially go to 12:15, but there's a few people in the room who haven't been here recently or often, and I just wanted to create a moment for those people to introduce themselves, or anyone else who has a really, something exciting, 30-second announcement they want to make. Charisse, would you like to introduce yourself? Joe, your hand is still up, but I think you just left it up. Is there anyone else who'd like to announce something?
I can definitely introduce myself.
Thanks.
Hi, so I'm Charisse Roberts. I work for the Maine Department of Labor Division for the Blind and Visually Impaired. I am the rehabilitation consultant. So my focus is on business engagement and promoting accommodations as well as inclusion for clients that are blind and visually impaired. I go out and I work with businesses on helping them understand why we want to include clients and individuals that are blind and visually impaired in regards to employment, as well as helping with sensitivity training and inclusive practices, and just basically helping them better understand why we want to capitalize on this amazing population of people, because they have a lot of money, they've got a lot of abilities, and they're a really important group in the population of Maine.
Awesome. Thank you for doing that important work. Is there a standard program that you offer, or how would somebody who has a business that wants to make sure they're inclusive, how would they interact with you?
Yep. I can put my email address in the chat. And then they would just reach out to me through that email address. And I am statewide, so I can meet virtually as well as come out to businesses. I provide presentations as well as environmental assessments. I was actually just down in Brunswick at Wild Oats Bakery doing an environmental assessment, just to help the bakery understand what are things that they can be doing better to be more inclusive within the business. And I do work with clients. So for that particular environmental assessment, a client came with me so that they could really sort of give real, valid, feedback rather than just me doing it myself. I worked as an orientation and mobility instructor for 8 years before transitioning into this position. So I do have a lot of knowledge myself, but I always think it's really important when a client comes and they can give that feedback themselves. But yep, I will put my contact information in the chat.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Cindy.
Thank you.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I didn't realize that Brian was going to make this announcement about Karen and my joining MTI, at least on a temporary basis. I just wanted to say that, Karen I've been doing grant writing for about 10 years. Karen's taught me a lot of what I know about the SBIR process. I don't feel like I can really fill her shoes completely, but between Suzanne and the other team members and I, we certainly should be able to keep people covered. So you can reach out to Suzanne or to your MTI contact to get through to us, or to me, and look forward to working with folks.
Awesome. Welcome, Cindy. Glad to have you here and in that role. Joan.
Yeah, hi, everybody. I'm Joan Drapeau, CEO of SlickPix. We have interactive image technology and we have a webinar. It's going to be held on the 28th at 10 o'clock. We have an interactive Main Street map that we're going to be demonstrating, which is going to be geared towards like Chamber of Commerce's town centers. It's hoping to be able to be used to connect the tourists to local businesses, and local businesses can tell their stories and then share it on social media. So if you're interested, I put in the link in the notes and I can put it right into the chat as well. If you're interested, that's the 28th at 10 o'clock. Thanks.
Great, thank you so much. So I'm going to pop us into breakout rooms, and here's how this is going to work. You can choose your own breakout room. So if you're a speaker, I ask that you go into a room and then other people can choose to join you. You're also welcome to stay here with me if you want. And then, you're welcome to move from room to room as you wish. So we'll just try this as an experiment and see how it works. Or if you have something else you'd like to discuss and you weren't a speaker, you can post about it in the chat and then choose a room. So let's give it a shot.